Hey everyone. Want to talk about one of my favorite subjects in the therapy world and small business world, which is combating imposter syndrome, which is paralyzing and it is overwhelming and it is painful. And it's something I experience very often and almost every day, to be honest with you. I would talk about imposter syndrome a lot and the understanding of why does this happen to us and how does it present, right? And I know it comes up in a lot of different ways, whether it's feeling incompetent, incapable, fraudulent is a big one, like you've lucked into your success, that you didn't really earn it, that you're not as good as everyone else that's doing the same thing as you. We all know what imposter syndrome is at this point in time because I've talked about it ad nauseum. It comes up a lot when we're trying to do something that is outside of our comfort zone, especially professionally. We start to believe that we're just not deserving or not as adequate or competent. Like, my services aren't as good as someone else's services who offers the same thing. Or we get caught up in that comparison culture of like, hey, so-and-so offers X, Y, and Z and I don't, so they must be better than me. Therefore, I cannot do what I want to do or be successful. It's painful to experience this. It holds us back from truly kind of stepping into our ideal world and situation. And it sucks. It prevents us from doing the things that we love because our narrative is you'll never be able to do this because of X, Y, and Z. Want to give a couple of strategies on how to combat this. Number one is self-compassion. And I know as therapists we use this term a lot: self-compassion, self-love, self-worth, self-care, etc., etc., etc. I also know as a therapist that we don't always practice what we preach. It's a lot easier to help our clients with self-compassion skills and techniques than it is for us to take our own advice. So, self-compassion is huge. Giving ourselves permission to fail and make mistakes is a big one too. With self-compassion, I want you to think about how you would treat a stranger, a friend, a colleague, a family member who is struggling the way you're struggling with your imposter syndrome. Your advice would probably be, but look at all of the examples of the things you've done. Look at how great you are. Look at how fantastic you are. I believe in you. Be easier on yourself. But when it comes up for us, we're like, fuck that. I can't take that advice. I can't be easy on myself, right? I get that. So self-compassion is big. And trying to incorporate it more so every day so that, when that imposter syndrome comes up, which it will, it doesn't feel as debilitating, right? The goal is not to eliminate it, but to let it be less debilitating, less overwhelming, less painful. That's the goal. So that's strategy one, is to start to incorporate more self-compassion work. That's really important. Strategy two: giving yourself permission to make mistakes. I know that when you start something new, anything new, riding a bike, going to grad school, starting an agency job, working a new job in general, you're like, there's all that anxiety that comes up and that pressure to perform. And when we're not doing well or we feel like we're making mistakes, we automatically go to default, I'm no good mode, I'm incompetent, I'm incapable, I should just quit, I should not proceed forward, etc. Just remembering, right? Like when we are doing something new, it's normal to make mistakes because we've never done it before. So of course I'm going to make a mistake here and there. That's just the reality of it. Give yourself permission. Write it down as an affirmation before you start something new. I'm starting something new. I'm starting something outside of my comfort zone. I am going to make mistakes and that's okay. I'm allowed to. And when you make those mistakes, you can refer back to that and say, okay, you're right. I'm not happy about it, but I understand that it's a part of the process and I have to accept that. I also love the idea of making imposter syndrome playful because when that voice comes up, right, it's loud, it's intense, it's debilitating, it's harsh. Let's soften the blow. Give that voice a funny accent or a funny name, right? Like I call mine Dangerous Dan. Dangerous Dan starts talking and I'm like, all right, Dangerous Dan's here. I've got to soften the blow. I've got to mute him a little bit. I've got to let this be quiet. give it a funny accent, tell it to shut up, just be really strong in that approach of like, this is what's happening for me right now and this is why. And it's okay for this to come up when I feel more vulnerable and more insecure, when I'm starting to observe and kind of gauge my self-worth and I feel like it's associated to my accomplishments or stepping out professionally in a place where I don't feel comfortable. I want you to try really hard to do those three things. Self-compassion, giving yourself permission to make mistakes, giving your imposter syndrome a funny voice or a funny accent and just telling it to be quiet. Tell it to shut the fuck up. Just combating this all the time. And it will get easier. As you put yourself through uncomfortable positions and experiences and step out of your comfort zone, you will feel that very intensely at first. But you'll notice that the more that you do it, the more that you see that the world didn't stop spinning, the more that you see that you're still here, it gets less painful. It gets less overwhelming. And then we start to say, okay, I can try that again. I can approach this with a different perspective because I know that I'm going to feel a little bit of discomfort. I'm going to feel vulnerable. It's going to feel like there's some insecurity coming up. And now I'm moving through it. And I can sense that. And then I can point to the example of, remember when I tried this and I felt this way before and I did X, Y, and Z and then I moved through it and everything was okay? Let's use that. Let's be kind to ourselves. Let's really start to practice what we preach with our own clients and our friends and our colleagues and somebody that you would just meet out in public that you don't even know. Treat yourself the way you would treat them. Start putting this in place and practicing what you preach. It will get easier. I promise you that.